Hey, Coady here, back with another Proto Tech Tip on Protocase Designer. This week, we're going to show you how to use the Align and Distribute tools in Protocase Designer 6. Protocase Designer is an excellent way to quickly and easily create custom designs for enclosures, brackets, and panels. It is heavily integrated into Protocase's custom manufacturing, which will give you instant feedback on manufacturability and the ability to instantly get a quote at any point. Using the Align and Distribute tools in Protocase Designer is a great way to streamline your work. You can use them to make sure the cutouts, graphics, and other design features are situated exactly as you want them to be. In older versions of Designer, the Align and Distribute tools were located on the right side of your screen. In Protocase Designer 6, they are now even easier to access by a simple right-click. So for today's video, I'm going to hop into Protocase Designer 6 and show you how you can use the Align and Distribute buttons to make your time designing as efficient as possible. So here in Protocase Designer, I have already placed several features on the face of a rack mount enclosure, including fan cutouts, labels, and an LED screen. As you can see, they are scattered around the face. So, what if I wanted to orientate them in a specific way? I could use the measure tool, the position window, or one of Designer's other tools to precisely place each of these individually. Instead, I want to manipulate the entire group of objects to change their position at the same time, and save myself from needing to do each movement individually. The simplest way is through using Designer's Align and Distribute tools. In Protocase Designer 6, these are accessible by right-clicking with more than one object selected. Selecting multiple features is a pretty easy task. It can be done by clicking and dragging or by shift-clicking each item individually. For the alignment tool, we recommend shift-clicking each feature individually because they will be moved to align with the first feature that you have selected. For the Distribute tool, this is not as important because the features are distributed relative to whatever features are on the outside boundary. We will show how that works later. First, I'm going to give a rundown of what each alignment button will do. So now with all of my cutouts selected, I right-click to access the alignment tools. Here you will have the option to align horizontally or vertically. Whichever you choose will take your features and shift them to be aligned along a straight line relative to the first cutout you have chosen. So the horizontal buttons will shift the Y value of each feature of the design to be aligned horizontally. The vertical buttons will shift the X value of each cutout so they are aligned vertically. Once I have moused over these tabs, starting with horizontal, I can see the actual buttons. These determine which sections of the features you selected will be aligned. As you can see, you can choose to align your features based on their origins, which are the red dots on every object, tops, centers, and bottoms. These behave in the same way for vertical alignment, except that they will be aligned along your face's y-axis by having their x value shifted. As you can see for origins, left side, centers, and right side. One caution when aligning based on your feature's origins. Custom features may not always have their origin point where you would expect, so it may be a good idea to align everything else first and then place your custom features individually. As mentioned, the little red dot shows your object's origin. Now for the Distribute tool. This is accessed directly below the Alignment tool. Instead of behaving based on the first cutout you selected like with alignment, the Distribute tool functions by distributing the space between all of the objects in your selection evenly based on the two objects on the outside boundaries either along a vertical or horizontal axis. For vertical distributions, Protocase Designer will use the objects which have the specified section of themselves at the highest and lowest points out of your selection. Horizontal distributions will look for the left and rightmost points which were selected. So to run through each distribute button, here is a horizontal distribution of origins. This will evenly distribute the space between each object based on their origin points. The next button is Distribute Space Between. This means regardless of your feature's size, the space between each will be equal. After that is the Distribute Left Sides button. This will ensure the space from the left side of each feature is evenly distributed. Then Distribute Right Sides, which behaves the same except with the right side of the objects setting the distance. And finally, the Distribute Centers button, which will distribute the objects so that each of their centers is evenly spaced. This could be thought of as a different version of the Distribute Space Between button, except where that functions by taking into account the size of the cutouts and spacing each object at an equal distance away. The Distribute Centers button functions by paying attention to the objects themselves and distributing them at an equal distance regardless of their size. And of course, each of these buttons behaves the same way with vertical distribution and horizontal distribution. As you can see, for the origins, space between, tops, bottoms, and centers. So, in summary, the alignment button functions by comparing all of the objects in your selection to the first object you selected and aligning a specific point on them based on which alignment button you choose. The Distribute button functions by looking to the two objects on each outermost boundary of your selection, either the left and the right for horizontal distributions or the top and the bottom for vertical distributions. Then adjusting the space between all objects in the selection to be even based on which Distribute button you choose. Both can be a great time saver for the right situation when you are designing. For example, if I wanted to create my own custom perforation pattern or have multiple fan cutouts I want to evenly space and align, the Align and Distribute tools can be the quickest and easiest way to achieve your goals. Check out ProtocaseDesigner.com to download the latest version of Designer. Have a look at our past Designer videos and tutorials in the playlist linked in the description. If you have any questions, drop a comment below or email info@protocase.com. Protocase can manufacture your custom sheet metal and CNC parts in 2 to 3 days with no minimum order required. Check out Protocase.com to learn more about our rapid manufacturing and get in touch today to get your next project completed as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching this week's Proto Tech Tip. We'll be back here next Tuesday.